As a business based in Peterborough, we're passionate about supporting organisations across Cambridgeshire and helping businesses thrive through great technology, great people and sustainable growth. And today we're incredibly lucky. Our guest is Charlotte Horobin, who's the Chief Executive of the Cambridgeshire Chamber of Commerce. Charlotte's had a fascinating career journey. Charlotte, tell us about what happened to get you where you are today.
Well, hello, Julian. It's a real privilege to join you today. My career and inspiration, I guess, started back when I was very young. I had the benefit of an aunt who worked very closely with the Red Arrows, and I made sure that I was dead set on wanting a career in the Royal Air Force. Life happened, though, in the meantime, and I ended up going off to university and studying biomedical science. That led into all sorts of early jobs in my career, manufacturing food, lots of other things, but ultimately my first major role was working for the Engineering Employers Federation, now known as Make UK, for a decade, which was a great privilege. And then 3 years ago, I was absolutely delighted to be appointed as Chief Executive of the Cambridgeshire Chamber of Commerce.
And as you said, you originally wanted to join the RAF, and you spent quite a lot of time, you saying, in your younger years in the Air Cadets. What did you learn from doing that?
I had an absolute blast as an air cadet. I was very proud to belong to an F squadron, so a founding squadron when the Air Training Corps was first established. And I made it to the lofty heights of Cadet Warrant Officer, but really that gave me almost very soft military leadership training throughout my teenage years. It gave me the independence to travel overseas, to play sport at a national level, and to really develop a different side of myself, instead of just the experiences that you have within the traditional academic school system. So it was a fascinating opportunity, one of which I'd highly recommend any young person today does go and engage with the cadet forces.
No, brilliant. And so one of my children was a Sea Cadet for years, and it was absolutely brilliant for her. Really, she really enjoyed it. She learned so much from it. It's so interesting that you're clearly a very successful and high-performing person. And at one stage, something quite surprising happened. You worked as a shepherd. Tell us more about that.
So I've always enjoyed playing a lot of sport, and unfortunately for my body, I enjoy high-impact team sports. So I had a very significant accident playing rugby in my late stages of university. I was just about to start my dissertation, actually. My mum had forewarned me not to go and play, but hey, what do you do when you're sort of 20 years old? You do the absolute opposite of what the parents say. And that led me to a severe break and a long period of recuperation. I then bumped into a shepherd in my local village, as you do, and he had a big bushy beard. And funnily enough, he was raising money for Help for Heroes. So we got talking about that. And I was so intrigued. I didn't have an appreciation, because I don't think you do as you're growing up, as to the breadth and depth of opportunities, roles and employment that surround you. And actually, I decided it was a really great way for me to be able to build my fitness back up. He did warn me and say, well, it's a really great job, but you're a girl and you won't be able to do it. So we became a really strong partnership. I proved him wrong. And for a few years, we had a great time making sure that we were buying and looking after sheep from places such as Wales, Scotland, bringing them down to Lincolnshire, where it was warmer and they could feed on the beech top. So a nice piece of circular economy in there. But the real nice piece really was my first company car, my lovely eldest border collie, who's still with me today. I was able to acquire, quite a corporate asset in a wonderful tricolour collie.
Brilliant. And I'm going to move on to your current role, or to the job you have. For those outside the region, what makes Cambridgeshire such a special place to do business?
So, of course, I am biased, and it's for good reason. Cambridgeshire and Peterborough, I firmly believe, is a world-beating and leading region. We boast a science and technology superpower in Cambridge. We have got an industrial powerhouse in Peterborough, the home of brick manufacturing, well connected both by road, by rail. And those two cities both feature in the top 5 fastest growing cities in the country. But we mustn't overlook, we've also got the beautiful city of Ely. We've got beautiful ecosystems, wetlands and market towns. So we've got this fascinating, almost a petri dish for an economist. We've got a vibrant, broad range of sectors, and that means we've got a really, really resilient local economy. But equally, we're able to develop world-class research, but equally, we've got exactly the right kind of ingredients to then turn that into development, to lay down bricks and mortar for manufacturing amazing goods and technologies. And then we're able to employ local people to deliver those goods. So I think Cambridgeshire and Peterborough is an absolutely superb region. And it's not an accident that our inbox is constantly being filled, because people totally recognise the brand of a Chamber of Commerce globally, but equally, brand Cambridgeshire really does stand out across the world.
Yeah, I must be. We're very proud to be based in Cambridgeshire. We love it. And what makes you most proud when you look at the business community here?
So I was talking actually to an advanced manufacturer only a couple of days ago who said, Charlotte, you've got the best job in the world, surely. You're representing such an amazing region. And then they challenged me as to what are the most fascinating types of businesses that we get to see, because working for the Chamber, we have a real privilege. We get to see behind the scenes of a whole broad range of businesses, large, small, we're sector agnostic, and we're able to see amazing scientists, amazing entrepreneurs who have an idea and turn that into world-leading technology. We've got a business not that far from our headquarters who have been the recipient of 5 Kings and Queens Awards in their own right, all spun out really from medical knowledge and research out of Cambridge, but now they're providing world-leading technology that supports defence, space, and also motorsport. So you just wouldn't be able to dream that up without having been and seen behind the scenes of these superb facilities. But the thing that's really special is the people here that make those businesses tick.
I agree. We do some really exciting innovation in the region. Let's look a bit at some of the other businesses. What are the other things that you're seeing that are particularly growing in the region? Other, maybe less glamorous, but equally important industries.
So it might be helpful to really paint the picture as to what our local growth plan is painting a picture of. So across the country, we're looking now at 8 key industrial strategy growth sectors. And actually across the country, areas have started to develop where their strengths are and how do we make sure that we capitalise on those, that we monopolise them. And across Cambridgeshire and Peterborough, our Mayor Paul Bristow on the 10th of December published the local growth plan. Now that outlines 6 key growth sectors, but that will probably equate to probably around 4/10 of the whole economy. What it also acknowledges, though, is construction, care, education, and the amazing investments that we need to make into the region, such as a new reservoir, the connection across the Oxcam corridor with East-West Rail, our neighbours developing, obviously, Sizewell C to produce resilient energy into the future. And of course, all of those developments are underpinned by people working in the environment, ecologists, biologists. They are underpinned by making sure we've got the right construction supply chain. And actually what we do have is a real need for electricians across our region. So there's some great career opportunities for the next generation coming through. But what we have to do is make sure that we can ensure those opportunities are really easy to understand, and then that we're able to connect our educators and our businesses through something called the Local Skills Improvement Plan.
Thank you. And I'm going to go on to skills in a second, but you're in such a unique position working with all these different businesses in the region. What are the common challenges that people are talking to you about at the moment?
So it would be fair to say at the moment, the business community on the whole has been lacking confidence. We've faced a number now of quite volatile, unpredictable years with COVID, a number of geopolitical challenges globally. We've also had, of course, quite uncertain tariffs taking place around the world. And overall, this has made for a very challenging business environment. Right now, what we hear is that taxation, inflation and business rates are typically the top 3 issues that businesses report to us. And then when we look at costs, actually, labour cost is usually the predominant price concern. Unfortunately, that's been compounded even more so this year as conflict in the Middle East has driven utilities and energy prices upwards. So what already felt a very tight marketplace and fragile economy, unfortunately, does have some extra burden, which will take a number of months to play out and to hopefully resolve itself.
Yes, it is. It is a difficult marketplace, and I think some industries are struggling even more than others at the moment.
Absolutely. If you're a large employer say, manufacturing goods who exported perhaps to the US as the predominant market over the last 18 months, I think it's probably fair to say the burden on you as an employer has been huge, but equally that volatility and uncertainty for the future even more so.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you just touched on skills shortages. There seems to be a challenge in nearly every sector to get people with the right skills and experience. What are businesses telling you, and what are the particular gaps that you're spotting?
I think it's been well documented. We've got some quite significant systemic challenges across health, education and welfare. The interim Milburn review we've welcomed because we feel that that's a really healthy step forwards to start to understand how all of these systems have led really to this point. We know that the world has changed. COVID in particular has changed the way that we work. We've then seen advancements in technology, which is arguably changing the skills that we require and the opportunity for people coming through into the economy. But also we've got a relatively what has felt traditional schooling system, and we're now being challenged to make sure that we can again plug our education into the needs of our employers. And really this is about all parties coming together. There's no one who should carry the single burden, but actually to bring local government, employers and education together to collaborate and to make sure that employer engagement is interwoven throughout the schooling and education system from very, very early years. We fundamentally think will go some way to make sure that the next generation can tag in very easily to the amazing opportunities that we see.
And you briefly touched then on companies. What role do you think employers can help in shaping future skills with their workforce, but also with people in education?
So we've just concluded a piece of work as part of the local skills improvement plan. These plans were created 3 years ago, and government have just asked employer representative bodies, of which we are the body across Cambridgeshire and Peterborough, to reassess that piece of work in light of a very fast changing world, but also to make sure that now we have this regional plan, a local growth plan, to ensure that we're able to respond with the talent pipelines that we need for the future. So that has led us to having deep interviews with employers, educators, local government. We look at recruitment patterns for the last 5 years, and we look at literally hundreds, if not thousands, of previous employers' recruitment patterns. But the magic really is then by having those conversations as to what does the future hold. And AI would be a really interesting example of a technology whereby really if we unpack the skills required for AI, our advice would be let's make sure we've got good numeracy, literacy and problem solving and critical thinking skills embedded throughout the education system, because no doubt that technology alongside others will change very quickly over the coming years.
Are you finding that businesses are approaching AI with excitement, nervousness, a bit of both? What are you seeing?
I think we see a lot of people are starting to understand the what, but not necessarily the how. There seems to be a bit of a bridge in the practical nature, and we're really delighted that we're just launching an AI Academy to provide a platform for businesses to start to navigate the opportunity and understand that how, but equally to work with our local experts and local organisations to signpost where that practical support and practical help really, really is available. I think we have got a mixture of larger businesses who are arguably they're resourced better to take advantage of AI, but actually those big corporate structures we often see in our research may sometimes slow down the progress of rolling AI out across a larger organisation, whereas our smaller businesses may be a little bit more nervous, but actually when they are able to utilise a tool, we do see the progress is arguably faster and more agile.
Yeah, we're definitely getting quite excited about it in our company. People are using it. We've got AI ambassadors from every level in the company, and they're really enjoying using it together and working out how we can support our customers in using AI. It's quite exciting.
How did you start on that journey, Julie?
We started out with one of our engineers who's brilliant, who's just really interested. And a few years ago, he started doing a lot of research into it and sharing it wider. But as it's become more and more mainstream, the people that are the ambassadors, they're not necessarily the technologists. It started off as a technology thing, I suppose, and now it's not a technology thing at all. It's a tool that we can all use. So it's understanding in all the different parts of the business, how best can we use these tools? It's a bit like an iPhone. You don't need to be an IT person to use an iPhone. It's a tool that we can all use. But we started off thinking it was a technology, didn't we? Rather than thinking it was just something that would change the way that we all work together. So yeah, I suppose what we've done is probably a sort of microcosm of what's happening everywhere else, that it's moving from a niche technology that everyone thinks is big and scary to something that, well, actually it's quite normal and we can all use it, and it's quite simple.
I assume that you had to make sure there were certain guardrails in place. So that...
Oh yeah, we're big on guardrails. Yeah, absolutely. There are tons of guardrails in place, and one of the things that it does do is expose bad internal governance, isn't it? So if you aren't actually controlling your data and things, which in the past nobody could actually find out loads of data, it was just now it's terribly easy for people to find things. So actually you have to have the right governance in place for your own internal stuff, and we've worked really hard on ensuring our stuff and our client stuff is absolutely safe from the bigger environment, and we have a lot of rules about what you're not allowed to do. Yeah, it's not a free-for-all, definitely. Yeah, thanks for making that. Yeah.
What we find fascinating is obvious sectors like your own, of course, come out usually in our polling number one in terms of AI adoption. Then we're tending to see that it's around professional services and scientific type roles. But then the third sector, which we think is really interesting coming through in terms of AI utilisation, is manufacturing. So it is really interesting to see those sector trends changing over the years, because I don't think we would have perhaps seen that 5 years ago.
No, it's interesting. And what's, I think, fascinating is the way that so many people under sort of 30, 35, it's just technology's been there their entire lives. That's just the way, and it's just an evolution of something that they've always done. So of course it'll go across all industries, because actually everyone's a techie, really. Everyone young is a techie. So I just want to start looking a bit at the future for us. Get your crystal ball out, which I'm sure you've got. I'm sure you've got plans. So looking ahead, just 3 to 5 years, what are you seeing to the future of the businesses in Cambridge? What do you think is going to happen in the next 3 to 5 years?
Well, I think in the last week, we've welcomed significant announcements, the Greater Cambridge Development Corporation and the purchase of Cambridge East by Homes England and the Hill Group. That will start to see the development of Cambridge and the wider region really motoring on. We're about to, only this month, so in the next couple of weeks, we'll welcome the opening of the Cambridge South train station. So that's, again, a really key part of the jigsaw puzzle. And then East West Rail really is an infrastructure project that can unlock opportunity across the Ox-Cam corridor. But we know that the housing growth, the business growth that we require, such as Universal Studio ground being broken, we know that water infrastructure with a new reservoir is critical, energy infrastructure, health infrastructure. So it's important that we get this good growth, that we lay down that infrastructure of all different formats first, and then ensure that everything else can follow in the right order, and make sure that we've got a joined up skills system and our local businesses benefit. So really, for me, to realise the full opportunity, this must result in local jobs and local supply chains.
Massive. Yeah, massive. And you've got the fun of trying to influence a couple of different local government authorities, and you've got a few different MPs, and you've got a lovely challenging job, Charlotte, to try and make that all come together in a way when there's a bit of competition and different political parties involved.
Yeah, it's quite a responsibility. We're politically neutral, but we firmly believe it's our absolute role to ensure the voice of business is heard by all political parties. We're very fortunate to work strongly across the local region. There's many different entities, and we're about to see some change to the way that local government is delivered. In the next 3 to 5 years, we'll go through, again, mayoral elections, general election. And of course, right now, the UK political backdrop is somewhat a little uncertain. Through the British Chamber of Commerce, we'll shortly head to our global conference where we'll have 5 political parties there outlining their views and policies for the economy and how they propose to support business. So it's really important that we do this piece of work, but we can only do and advocate on behalf of business if we have proactive organisations such as IT Naturally, who are very generous to make sure that we have space for these conversations, but equally flag to us issues that organisations feel the Chamber should be investigating, and we then get that consistent joined up voice on behalf of business, which we've been proud to do for nearly 110 years now.
It's very impressive. It's very impressive. In fact, this morning I've been at the House of Lords campaigning on behalf of the Better Business Act. So trying to get the Companies Act changed so that companies are there for people, profit and the planet, not just for shareholders. And it's really interesting to see how something that feels really logical, that of course profit is important, but people are important, the planet is important, all of these things are important for our longevity. It's really interesting to see how hard we knock, and it's not being listened to by any of the parties. There doesn't seem to be a lot of engagement. We did have quite a number of MPs there today, which was really good, and members of the Lords there today, which was more than we've had before, so that was good. So maybe one day, but I don't think it'll be in the next year or so.
Okay, I was just about to ask in terms of time frame, do you get a sense as to if and when you may hit a significant milestone with this?
Last year it felt really good because there was going to be a debate in the House of Commons about 4 or 5 weeks after we had our meeting, but it just got talked out. Nothing happened. It's really disappointing, and I think at the moment they seem to be excited about all sorts of other things, but actually in common with what your role is about, the engine of business is what keeps the UK going. If we're not working hard, if we're not making profits, if we're not paying taxes, then all of the other things don't happen either. But somehow it's quite difficult to get the voice of business heard at times, isn't it?
So the board of directors are extremely clear for the Cambridgeshire Chamber of Commerce. Our role, our raison d'etre, is to support businesses to grow. And when we really unpick that, why are we doing it? Well, as you've just pointed out, business is what fires and powers up growth, and export in particular. We know that by just improving export performance a little bit, we'll have such benefit to the UK economy because we bring extra revenues back into the country. But ultimately, if business can succeed and good business can succeed, we know that taxes get paid, and that then enables us to have the public services that philosophically we all absolutely desire.
Exactly. I agree completely. We're really excited about technology on this podcast. We're a tech company. We love technology. What excites you most about technology and the good that it can do for the world?
So I think for me, I see lots of people who are really busy doing some really great things, but I know they could deliver such benefit to the local economy and local place and innovation if we were able to reduce their time being spent doing not necessarily dangerous work, but I always talk about dull, dangerous, repetitive work. That's ideally where you want to be automating. So the more that we can do, which enables opportunity for more people, if it means that people of different backgrounds, different life experiences are able to play an active part in the economy, I think that's a really brilliant thing. But ultimately, if it means that we can free up amazing people's time to do good as opposed to doing dutiful, repetitive tasks, then for me, that's a win.
Thank you. That was really good, really interesting. So thank you for joining us on the 90 Naturally podcast. It's been really enjoyable to learn more about you and to get to know you better, but also to learn so much more about Cambridgeshire from your wide knowledge and experience. And one thing that's really caught my eye or made me really think is where you've been talking about actually technology keeps on evolving, but that's only going to work if we keep supporting people and keep them learning new skills and them developing and them being part of the journey that we all want to go on. So For everybody who's listening, if you want to learn more about Charlotte and the Cambridgeshire Chamber of Commerce, we'll be putting links in the show notes so that you can link to her. Thank you everyone for listening, and we'll see you next time on the IT Actually podcast.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you.